Welcome to my podcast, My Journey So Far. In this podcast, I interview people to see what life experiences they have had to shape them to be the person they are today. I hope you enjoy.
The first 4 months, I dropped the first 70 pounds,
You made last year?
330.
My next guest is Julian. He's a 28-year-old successful day trader that lost 90 plus pounds in 6 months. Please listen in as Julian describes how he became so successful in his weight loss journey.
All right, so my name is Julian. I went to Hampton University. I did 5-year MBA program there. And upon graduating, I became a full-time day trader. So that's what gave me, the enough free time to have the transition I had when I moved down to Miami. So growing up, I was always an athlete, football and track being my main two sports. I always wanted to be as I was a running back in football, which was my main sport. I always wanted to be as heavy as possible. For that, I was overeating and just maintaining a higher weight, but that was always fine because I was playing sports. My senior year of football, I was probably about 185. Now I'm only 5'5". Fine when it's mostly muscle, but when I stopped playing and then I started diving into bad habits, as in eating late, drinking once in college, and things of that nature, then I really started to put weight on because I was already too heavy for just everyday walking around life outside of being an athlete. So I just piled on to that, and then it got the worst during the pandemic. But also during the pandemic, I moved to Miami. I just always wanted to live there. I'm
Yeah.
originally from Maryland. I moved to Miami. I just wanted the year-round tropical weather. Miami is like a fitness capital. Everybody is, because it's bikini season, swimsuit season year round. So
True. Yeah.
everybody who lives in Miami has fitness being a big portion of their life. Um, so I mean, it was no like big Tadao moment or
Yeah.
anything, because like my first year in Miami, when I first moved to downtown Miami, all we did was party every day, really.
Yeah.
Uh,
Including drinking, I'm assuming.
yeah,
Yeah, and that could just
and
kind of start taking things over.
just partying and eating and drinking. But after my first year, excuse me, I moved to Plantation, which is the suburbs of Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
I was like 12 minutes from downtown Fort Lauderdale, but it was a area called Plantation, and then that's where life became a little calmer for me. Like if I wanted to go to Miami, I actually had to feel like driving, 45 minutes to do that. Uh, I did less partying, less going out, and then I just decided to start training like I was an athlete again. Like in high school, all
Yeah.
summers would start with two-a-days for football. Everybody who comes back out of shape, those two-a-days are meant to get you in shape as quickly as possible, get you up to speed
Yeah.
as quickly as possible. So I just went to working out twice a day, every day, 6 days a week again, like I was training to be an athlete again. And I just like I had like all my old football workouts and whatnot saved in my phone. I had a lot of workout plans still saved in my phone.
Yeah.
So I just started working out again every day. I started drinking a gallon of water a day. So I bought my first gallon jug and I bought a sauna suit. My first 6 months, I lost about 95 pounds.
That's the
Like,
picture you posted, I believe, on the Facebook page that I
yes,
saw. I was like, this is a drastic change. And I was
yeah.
like, so it's just something like you made an agenda in your head and you just kind of went for it.
And so I was a full-time day trader. So
Yeah.
set my own schedule, and like I day trade in the London session a lot. So, 3 a.m. here is 8 a.m. in London. So I would mostly trade from like between 3 a.m. and like noon. That would be like my work hours most of the time, and then I'd be done. So like with the rest of the day, I would just work out and I would just drain myself until I was ready to go to sleep.
Have you read any good books recently?
No, but I need to start reading again. I need to read the David Goggins books next. I guess he is my fitness inspiration outside of sports, I would say. But by the time I started looking at his story, I was already down like 60 pounds. But because I lost 90 plus pounds in 6 months. David Goggins did it in three. So when
I
I seen
know.
that, I'm like, well, I'm not doing enough. And then that's when I started doing even more. And then that's when I got to the level of fitness I ended up getting to. I just started doing even more. And that's when I got to a point where, like, as a regular daily workout, I'm working out about 4 hours a day because I enjoy it and because my body is used to it.
Awesome. His story has changed a lot of people's lives for the better. I enjoy watching him, like, even on podcasts.
Hmm.
So I'm halfway through his second book, but he definitely just pulls kind of like the soul in a way where you can do more than what you're doing
Yeah,
and
it's all
forces you to overcome
interpersonal.
that. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I said people just choose what they put their time into. Like when I tell people what I do, they're like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." And I say, "I understand that, and that's why you haven't lost weight quickly." Because I stopped everything cold turkey. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking. I stopped eating out. I wasn't eating fried food, fast food, nothing. I said I bought a sauna suit. I would go, being in Miami in the summer, I'd wait until it was 95 degrees out. I'd put a sauna suit on. I'd go outside and I'd run for an hour. Then I'd go in the gym. I'd lift for 2 hours in the sauna suit. I'd do cool down cardio, and then I'd sit in the sauna suit every day.
Oh my gosh. That is like intense.
Yeah, but
That's
that's
just
why I have
unheard
to
of.
drink. Yeah, that's why I had to drink at least a gallon of water every day. But that was how I was burning as many calories as possible to put myself in a calorie deficit every day to where I would lose weight every single day. So like doing that, and I was losing like on average 5 to 7 pounds a week because like most of our body fat, humans are well, like 70 plus percent water. So most of our body fat is water weight. You just have to sweat it out. So the sauna suit just sweats that out as quickly as possible. Like I mostly got the sauna suit stuff from like watching how boxers and fighters cut weight for boxing matches and whatnot. Because a lot of boxing brands have their own brand of sauna suits and all of that. So yeah, once I got into like a top shape and I realized I wasn't going to try to I was back in like high school shape, but I wasn't going to play football or run track again. So that's when I became a hybrid athlete, started becoming like a marathon type runner and a power lifter at the same time.
How long from when you started to now?
I started working out again April 2022 and haven't stopped since that.
Okay. Are you still doing two-a-days?
Uh, Now I really, yeah, sometimes, but now I really just mostly do it all at once. So it's like at
Just a
first I
4 hour
used to
stretch?
do, yeah, at first I used to do all my cardio, then shower, eat, take a nap. Then I would wake up, go get dressed, do my lifting, and then shower, eat, and go to sleep. And then as it got easier, I just started doing it all together. So now I'll do like Usually a 7 mile run as my warm up, and then I'll walk straight in the gym and start lifting.
Man, you're pushing me to want to do more. Definitely motivational. And it's just your internal dialogue. Your voices in
Hmm.
your head are pushing you this way.
Yeah, like I says, yeah, I didn't talk to anybody about it or anything. I just
Mhm.
decided to start doing it. So like, and with the weight loss, once I started, I just stopped posting on all social media for like 6 months. And the next time I posted again, I just was down 8 pant sizes when I started posting again.
When you started posting again, you're a different person.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
changed. I'm like who you are in 6 months.
Hmm. Yep.
So when you go to the grocery store, what are the main 5 items you purchase?
Eggs, chicken breasts, strawberries, blueberries, and uh, Pedialyte.
Okay. How much Pedialyte do you drink?
I don't drink it every day. I really drink it on days where I really drain myself. Uh, like if I'm gonna run a half marathon or more, I'll do Pedialyte. Well, like yeah, probably if I'm gonna run over 10 miles, but yes, I'll probably do Pedialyte. And then if it's like a day or two where I have the sauna suit back on, then I'll do Pedialyte. Of course, I don't sauna suit it regularly anymore, but some spurts I do. So those would be days where I make sure I get my electrolytes in. Like I documented all of it. Like all of my working out for like the last 2.5 years is all in a folder in my phone. And I did write a 16-week workout plan listing everything I did day by day, twice a day, every day for 16 weeks. And if people did half of it, they would lose more weight than they've ever lost. It's I've only had like two people actually do it, and both of those people who have done it have lost 60, 70 pounds each.
Oh my God. Yeah, please share it. And I'll list that on the podcast too.
And I honestly didn't even own a weight scale until I was at least like 2 months in. And at that point, I was already down like somewhere between 30 or 40 pounds, if I remember correctly. And then that's when I actually started to truly track it and start kicking it up a notch. And then I said the first 16 weeks, the first 4 months, I dropped the first 70 pounds. And then when I started to like plateau a little bit, and when I mean for a little bit, I mean like for a week. Once I realized I didn't stop losing weight the same way for a week, that's when I kicked my running up. And
Okay.
then, so like last year, I averaged 120 miles a month running.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, Last October was my best month. I did 235 miles that month. My best week was 73 miles. I still lifted every day. I would have never gotten back in the shape I did if I wasn't in Miami. And so it was so
Mm.
much easier to do it. It's so easy to do it in the year-round tropical weather. It's always great weather to go outside and run and work out. My last condo in South Beach was on the boardwalk, so I was running through the boardwalk and through Ocean Drive every day. Like you have plenty to look at. The sun feels great, the weather feels great, and then I was going and lifting in a gym that was all glass and stared at the ocean. Like it was the most enjoyable way to work out and focus on your body and self.
Definitely. I just run through a residential neighborhood.
That,
We don't have, I can see the mountains when I'm coming down a path. So, but
yeah.
nothing like what you described.
So yeah, so moving back to Maryland, well, I mean, and know, too, you in Colorado, you have a high altitude. You know, Miami, Florida was below sea level. So when I moved back to Maryland, I was above sea level and running up hills and everything every day. It took a couple weeks to adjust to just the climate and landscape changes and everything.
So how long have you been in Maryland now?
Uh, I came back up here in February of this year. Like I said, I'm born and raised in Maryland,
Mhm.
but yeah, I just moved back up here.
Are you happy with the move?
Yeah, it's nice to be back around family and friends and everything. I just, I prefer warm weather. So, I don't really like the winters here, but it's okay. It's short-lived.
Yeah. And my parents live down the street. My family all lives in Colorado, and it would be hard for
Hmm.
me to leave them. So
Yeah.
I can relate. I mean, just being
Yeah.
by family is kind of comforting.
Yeah, I didn't
So,
really have many people around in Miami and just down there in general. You don't meet very many genuine people there. It's really just most people just are about what they can get from you.
yeah. And I feel like maybe social media has kind of set us up for that to where we don't have
Hmm.
deep conversations with people on a regular basis. So, can you share a lesson you've learned from a past mistake?
Well, I learned that as an entrepreneur, uh, not putting all your eggs in one basket fully, or just I wouldn't put your trust in anything fully that you don't have control over yourself.
Okay.
Uh, I put too much trust in the abilities of others and the word of others versus just truly focusing on and honing in on solely all things that I had full control over. And the biggest thing is, you don't have to always try to partner with somebody or collab with somebody or you know of course you have your networks, you have your connections, but it doesn't always have to be a joint effort on everything you do to get where you're trying to go.
Yeah. And it sounds like that's what you did with your weight loss too. That's fully in your control on what your physique and how you feel is. I mean, so
Yeah,
you just took it by the reins and went for it.
yeah, I mean, I got fat from being lazy, so I decided to stop being fat and stop being lazy and get back to where I was. So like most people in Maryland don't even ever know that I ever was fat because I didn't live in Maryland that whole time. When I moved back home, I was at the same weight I was in high school. So to everybody back home, I just looked like the same person that they knew growing up. Yeah, they say they can't even imagine me ever being that size. And I was that size for probably like a good 6 years.
A good
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah.
And what does a daily diet look like for you?
Uh, so I usually intermittent fast for about 18 to 20 hours a day, usually closer to 20. I usually only eat between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m., but I love breakfast food. So my first meal is always usually still like eggs and either chicken sausage or turkey sausage usually, and then a fruit smoothie, and my smoothies are only fruit, water, and ice. And if I wanted extra protein, I'll add Greek yogurt, but I don't use protein powder. I don't use pre-workout. I don't use any of that, just fruits and vegetables. And then dinner is usually either baked chicken or baked salmon or like steak and green vegetable, and then usually like rice or maybe mac and cheese. And those are usually like my two meals. And I mostly just drink water. So like a gallon of water a day. And when I was losing weight, honestly, I ate, especially before I started doing more in the kitchen, I was eating And my first meal was always just eggs and sausage. And my second meal was always, if I didn't just get like a big few pound bag of baked chicken and do frozen vegetables, I only did like healthy choice meals. Like the whole time I was losing weight, I mostly ate healthy choice meals. Like most of their meals were only like 300, 350 calories. So I would do those and a bunch of fruit. And so now I get a lot of protein from eating eggs.
Yeah.
First time I truly got overweight was because I started making real money for the first time in my life. So that's when I was really eating whatever I felt like eating and drinking whatever I felt like drinking and eating out a lot more and going out a lot more and doing more things that I wasn't really doing before.
Because you could financially now.
Yeah, so like when people talk about like getting the money gut and getting fat because you started having some money, that's kind of like what made me fat.
What are your dreams? And do you have a plan in place to go towards those dreams?
Uh yes, so I wanted to be like fully retired by 35 if possible. That's why I came back up here for this government job. That's gonna make that all easier. But I still want to go back to my 100% focus being day trading. I trade foreign exchange currencies. So one, me and my best friend slash business partner, we moved to Miami. We had set up our own investment firm down there. So I have been since graduating from college with my MBA in 2019.
Yeah.
I have currently like I've only had a full-time job for a total of 6 months in the last 5.5 years.
And how old are you?
I'm 28 now.
I think you're doing pretty well. Do you mind
I
if I ask
appreciate
how
it.
much you made last year?
330.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, I started day trading in 2018, but before that, I was always business oriented, business minded. So, my dad has his undergrad business degree and his MBA. My
Oh,
uncle, same thing. I have multiple uncles that do the same thing, and they all have very high positions in their companies and their fields. Uh,
okay.
so I always had a business and sports background.
Okay.
Then I took like when I stopped playing sports, I took like my leadership skills from being team captains and whatnot. And then I got
Mm-hmm.
involved in school and different organizations and things. And then I became an entrepreneur my senior year when network marketing was brought to me. I before that I worked part-time jobs every semester. Uh Minimum wage was 7.25 when I was in school in Virginia, so I never made more than 8.50 an hour. So when
Yeah.
I became an entrepreneur, I was working at Party City in the costume aisle my senior year of college. So yeah, I was in my last semester because with the 5 year program, I did undergrad in 3.5, and then the grad in a year and a half. So I was in the last semester of undergrad, and this opportunity got brought to me by a friend at another school in North Carolina,
Yeah.
and so Legal Shield they sell prepaid legal memberships, like basically 24/7 access to lawyers from an app on your phone. Yeah, so I sold those memberships and I maxed out their compensation plan my first 30 days. I was the fastest person they had in the company's history out of the state of Virginia to do that at the time. Uh
And your
yeah,
mindset going forward. I mean, I really enjoy like hearing how motivated you are in it seems like just your life in general. Conversations with people that are moving forward and at a fast pace I is really amazing to me and I think it is only going to help me be a better person moving forward. So when you said it's called Legal Shield,
Mhm.
yeah, were you they reached out to you for the marketing portion, or is that part of your company?
No, so so it's all 1099. Like you would sign up and pay an associate fee, and then you could start building your own organization. So it's basically just direct sales, but you just do it all yourself. So I got brought to me from a friend from another campus who had been building a team for a few months down there.
Okay.
We grew up together in Maryland. So he went to school in North Carolina for college. I went in Virginia. So he was already, he had just become an executive director, which was the top of their initial pay scale. Uh, so that was the month I started. And he broke down to me how he talked about it, explained it
Mm-hmm.
once. And then I used to live across the street from the library in my apartments on campus. And me and my roommate, we had a projector in the living room. So I hooked up my laptop to the projector and I gave presentations in my living room 3 to 4 times a day, every day for the first 30 days, starting with just my campus. And then everybody I brought on, instead of having them try to randomly pitch it themselves, I just told them that everybody interested to bring them to my house. I would present for everybody, train everybody, and set their organizations up for them and get them going. So, uh, after about 4.5 months, I had an organization of 1,300 people, and we were in like 35 different states. So I would go to class during the week, and on the weekends, I would fly to whatever campus that we could sit at least 25 to 50 people down in a room. I would go, present to them, show results, train everybody who wanted to get started and help start that organization up. Then I'd fly back to school and go back to class. And it happened pretty quickly because, I went from, at 850 an hour part-time, I was making like 500 a month. So I went from making 500 a month to, making 10K plus in a month within the span of 60 days. And that's when I knew I could figure out making more money for myself than any job would pay me coming out of school. And granted, I also went the route I did because I decided to try being a full entrepreneur after I got my MBA. So
Yeah.
I had 2 years of internship experience with Price Waterhouse Coopers doing consulting there. I have 1 year of internship experience with the government, with the Centers of Medicaid and Medicare Services. I did auditing with them, and I did work for 6 months for United Healthcare in DC in their sales department. So once I went entrepreneurial fully, I made sure first I still had a resume to where I could use my resume if need be or when
Yeah.
need be, which kind of
Um,
brought me back to Maryland currently. So I'm about to start working a government role up here. But right now, I'm just waiting for my security clearance to
oh,
process.
okay. I mean, it seems like you've just been in a forward motion, it sounds like most of your life.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's and it comes from my parents because even in high school, I did a lot of different things outside of just sports. Even though sports was the main focus, I still had other pieces and parts to it that uh, came more into fruition later on, when I stopped having sports be the main focus. Like while I was, football and track were my main sports in high school. Um, but I was also in the chamber choir. So in my senior year of high school, we sang at the White House. So that was a nice experience. And
That's really cool.
yeah, so I did some things with that. And then and so now I just with the sports and the singing, I just refocused how I work out. So now I just work out to feel and look as good as possible as I get older. And, I want to still be working out similarly while when I'm in my 50s and 60s, and I want to look good in my clothes. And then with the singing now, I just do that with the church I'm a part of. So I'm on the praise and worship team. So I sing at church on Sundays. So I really just work and work out and go to church. And other than that, I just sit in the house and just relax.
Nice. Who was your role model growing up?
My father, guys, my life is really and path is very similar to the one he had growing up and at these different stages of life. And yes, I really would say directly my father with influence from other men in my family as well. You have to put in the work for anything. Like if I wanted to be good at sales, especially from scratch, that requires a lot of work up front. And then eventually it'll start to automate itself at some point. It was the same with losing the weight or anything else I did. The one thing that I sold that I had to figure out the most is when I started selling hair.
Okay.
uh, I went to a school that was because after I did Legal Shield, people who knew I could sell just brought different sales ideas to me, which furthered my entrepreneurial and sales background past network marketing. Uh, so like selling hair was brought to me. So I in my fraternity, I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. One of my fraternity brothers, he went to London for his MBA, where one of his classmates from India, his parents owned the third largest hair exporting factory in New Delhi, India. So
Okay.
I was shipping in kilos of hair from New Delhi, India to the school I went to, and my school was 70% women. We had a 19-to-1 women to men ratio when I was there.
Mhm.
Um, so same what I did with Legal Shield and everything else. Once I learned fully about the product, everything I needed to know about it, uh, I then took like my best sellers and friends and people from Legal Shield and my other businesses and helped set them up in their locations. So then I had people selling hair for me in about 7 different states at one point. And I had switched the hair. Then I switched the shoes. And then I got to trading. And trading doesn't require you to speak to a soul. That's why I like it now.
Okay.
It's you can trading is just all patience and just confidence within yourself, and it's all just based on you, because even when you're an entrepreneur in any other field, especially in sales, you're always dealing with customers, you're dealing with back office for companies, you're dealing with shipping, you're dealing with you're never just it's never just solely based off of your skill set or what you bring to the table. There is always several other variables and factors where it's a day trading, it's just you and your patience and your knowledge and skill level. And it's all up to you on whether you make money or don't. No real trader has a positive win rate. It's just
Yeah.
about your losses being small and your wins being much bigger.
You don't need to be as involved.
Yeah, I quickly exhausted myself being in those types of organizations and setups, and especially with network marketing. Like
Mm-hmm.
after a while, your success long term is solely predicated on your ability to keep other people interested, involved, and working as hard as you do.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize that that's not realistic long term. It's that
Yeah.
people uh, you get brought in by somebody, but just because you're doing well doesn't mean that they get promoted. Like, and that's why network marketing teaches great organizational building skills and team
Mm.
skills, because in order to get promoted up, you have to build your team evenly. So say you have three branches of your team, you have to build them evenly to get promoted. You can't just have one salesman who's good, or a couple under you that are good and nobody else is, because then your team won't be growing like
Yeah.
as a whole. So
Hmm.
whoever is just that one person under you or that you brought in who's good, he's gonna eventually get promoted to a higher position than you are, just like a regular company. But the biggest problem with the first company too is like what well, we had a team of all college students mostly, and people have short attention spans. And it was so easy to build quickly with Legal Shield because they did next day direct deposits. So if I sold a membership today, it would be pending on my back office tomorrow, and then the next day it would be deposited in my bank account. So, after like a week, you get to a point where, like, if you're really making sales, you can get a direct deposit 5 times a week.
Okay.
So
Yep.
that was a major selling point, but we were bringing in so many people so quickly and they were paying out so much money that they ended up changing the pay scale. Like, so my first 6 months there, they changed the pay scale 3 times. And after the third time, it was like I couldn't build it the same way I was building it.
Do you mind if I ask how much money you made doing that role?
Um, I would say about 40K in about 5 months as a
Okay.
senior in college.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
significant. Going from, you said making about $8 an hour.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
Yep. And then why I knew trading was the way, because that 40K that I did in 6 months, the first time I got good at trading, I did that in 6 weeks.
Did you
Uh,
teach yourself, or like how did
no,
you go about
I've
learning?
taken I've taken several different courses. I've paid several different mentors, and then I eventually became a educator. I do one-on-ones, and I had an academy and all of those types of things. But yeah, with trading, you have to pay somebody. You have to pay somebody who does it full time, because any general site or uh any free server like YouTube or anything that's posted like that, it'll teach you trading knowledge. It'll teach you how to understand other people's predictions and analysis and whatnot, but it doesn't teach you an actual strategy on how to create your own predictions. So you think you know what you're doing until somebody just puts a blank chart in front of you, and then you realize you don't know where to go from there. So it's like you have to pay for actual strategies that actually get you from start to finish on how to analyze the charts, and then knowing when is the exact proper time to enter a trade and the exact proper time to exit it, which is
Okay.
that plus the risk management.
Okay. So you didn't learn any of that while getting your MBA. They didn't talk about have any
No,
trading courses or anything.
no, especially not trading foreign exchange currencies, because it's an unregulated market and it's a 24-hour market, unlike the stock market. But that's why I like it too, because whatever hours you can put towards it that work best for you, you could just go with those hours.
Yeah, how many hours are you doing it a week?
Uh, it's uh, the more I trade and the more patience I get, like, you really only want to enter like 3 to 5 good trades a week. The rest of the time, is just staring at the charts, being patient, and analyzing what's going on. Most people's problems are they trade too much, especially as a day trader. When you're over trading, then you get into the territory of being more of a gambler than an actual trader. And a lot of people are gamblers in the market.
Okay. So do you typically buy for the day or do you hold on to that one for like a length of time?
So when you're trading currencies, so you're leverage trading, not margin trading. So what you just explained was margin trading, which is how you trade stocks and like crypto portfolios. You just buy something at a set price and you just hold it and wait for that value to increase. When you're leverage trading, you don't actually like with currencies, you don't actually own a country's currency. So you're trading one country's currency against another one. So you're basically buying and selling at the same time. So
Mhm.
it doesn't matter which direction the market is going, you can make money. Everything could be falling from the sky and you can get in and just sell.
Okay.
And or everything can be skyrocketing and you could just get in and buy, or you can hedge and be in buys and sells at the same time. So it's a it's a more volatile type of trading and it's more risky, but it makes a lot more money. So, like with a leverage account, say you have 1 to 100 leverage for every $1 you have in your account, your broker will let you leverage $100 to trade with. So it lets you risk more to make more, but in that same token, if your risk management isn't proper, you'll lose everything.
Okay. You got to know what you're doing, is what you're
Yeah,
saying. Yeah. So do you still offer educational classes?
yes, it's just
Okay.
not a main focus, but yes, I do. Yeah, so I've more so moved back to focusing on just my myself and my portfolios.
Yeah.
But I've just moved into a phase where I just enjoy just focusing on myself,
That's awesome.
my personal trading, my personal fitness. Because people ask me why I'm not a trainer, just like they ask about the trading stuff, and I just have moved away from that business model that I've already done several times at this point.
So it's probably a quiet life doing things you enjoy.
Yes,
Hmm.
that's when I really became a runner because that's
Yeah.
my me time.
Yep.
And the gym is that's my me time and my personal therapy, self-reflecting time.
World is such like a fast-paced environment, and it doesn't
Hmm.
let many people have that experience of being able to just have quiet me time, and
Right,
it's something to work towards. And I know talking to people that are successful in this stuff is going to benefit me too, because I'm interested and I want to know like the mindset of the people that push themselves further. And I
right.
think that's why I enjoyed the David Goggins book so much too, because it sparks a fire in you.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just it's all a battle with yourself. It's just if you're gonna give up on yourself or not. So what like helps too is like the 75 hard. So like I didn't fully do a 75 hard like how it's listed out, but I did like some semblance of it, like a more extreme version on the working out and eating side, but more laxed on some of the other things of it. But I really kind of started with like a 75 hard. It's just I did it with, my own workout plans and the sauna suit added on and some other things.
I've never heard of the 75 hard.
Yeah, so if you just Google 75 hard, it'll literally pull up like a PDF that has like 75 days on a calendar listed up for you to X out each day. And then it'll have the rules, like it's like work out twice a day, 45 minutes each time. It says do one outside, do one inside, drink however so much water, read 20 pages of a book. And it was like one or two other things, but it's like you're supposed to do all of these things every day for 75 days. And then, like, after that, it should basically start becoming like your new habits.
Okay. So you just got to get over that hump. You just got to
Mm-hmm.
start putting it into motion. That's the hardest part, is going.
Yeah.
You think about wanting to change all the time, but you just got to just start doing it. Name something about you that most people don't know.
And so, like, a lot of people don't know that I was in chamber choir and all of that in high school. Like, a lot of people also, they said, never even knew that I gained the weight to begin with and was over 240 pounds.
Yeah. Do you listen to podcasts?
No, I never been a big podcast person. Um, Especially, like, I know a lot of people listen to podcasts when they work out and things of that nature. When I work out, I zone out. So if I put a podcast or an audio book on it, I'm not gonna actually listen to it. So I'm not gonna retain any of it once I zone out. Because even like on my long, slow pace runs, like sometimes I would just put on instrumentals. So it's like I have music playing in the background, but it's like I'm not really actually listening to anything. So it's like I'm really just in my thoughts. So yeah, I tried because the times where I would do any of that, and so mostly would be when I'm working out. And so when I tried, I really was just zoned out and I didn't pay attention to anything that was on.
When you're in your thoughts, what are your thoughts during that time?
Uh, Thoughts about just like what what I need to get done or what I'm currently doing, or I like fashion and clothes and stuff too. So sometimes it'll be about, because every Sunday when we sing at church, we get uh they they just give us like a color scheme. So I'll be figuring out what I want to put on for that because I've always been into clothes and shoes and things too.
Okay.
Um, just yeah, just different things. Or a lot of the times, my best friend who I moved to Miami with, his wasn't as drastic as mine, but he also went through a weight loss and he also works out a similar amount of time that I do. And a lot of times I won't listen to stuff because I'll just be working out and be on the phone with him. Like
Okay.
it's very normal for me to run a half marathon and talk to somebody on the phone the entire time. So like that's an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of work and that plus lifting and whatnot. If I'm on the phone the whole time, that's hours where I haven't listened to anything.
It's probably good to keep those connections, though. If you have somebody
Hmm.
on the other end to talk to you the entire time.
Yeah, and when you're running, it helps time go by faster.
So I do appreciate your time and you sharing your story with me.
Of course. I
Yeah.
appreciate you for reaching out.
I'm really glad. Like, this was a really good conversation. You just never know what direction it's going to go, but you
Yeah,
are like full of experience for a 28-year-old.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And then
Welcome.
maybe I can reach out in the future and check back in to see how you're doing.
Sounds good.
Thank you for tuning in. If you or somebody you know would like to be interviewed, please reach out to me on my Facebook at My Journey So Far. Everything in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. If you are wanting to start your weight loss journey, please speak to your physician first. I have posted Julian's social media links in the description below. Thank you for watching.